There it is. It's already recording. That's how I'm going to start the episode. But yeah. So one of the things that I'm trying to remember. So I was on autopilot every single time in the original seasons because we did like the 2 years almost concurrently. Like the biggest gap we took at most would be a couple of months. I remember I think our biggest gap at one point was 2 or 3 months. But even then, it was extremely short compared to ourselves, whatever. Because even during the pandemic, we at least tried to do remote. Even though those are probably my least favorite episodes because the energy just wasn't there. Mallory just wasn't paying attention a lot of the time or wasn't interested in what we were talking about. And like, there would be like, of course, delayed reactions from John, which would sometimes get awkward. And I'd have to be like, what'd y'all say? Or like, that kind of bullshit. Yeah. That's the only reason I don't like remote is it's easier for the most part, but I just don't feel like you get that same energy as like fucking having in the room. Like at least guests, obviously, since they're usually across state, across country, across the world, we normally have to just make do with talking to them remotely. But even if I had the choice, I would rather in person. Because even that interview we did with MC Lars was a lot of fun. And like that was one of our best interviews ever, and it was in person. So I'll never forget that. I always had a lot of respect for Lars, but that really, when it comes to a man holding his word, I said, he really did it. So when we tried to book, I forgot if we talked about this in the podcast, maybe you did hear if we did, but if not, when we had MC Lars on the show, I had reached out to him like I do many guests via email, and his manager had been the one who responded, and he was just like, well, Lars is about to go on tour, so unfortunately, we're just not going to have the time to do a audio interview, but why don't we, when he goes on when he in between shows or whatever, and so I tried to reach out then, but then during the gap, he didn't have any time, because I was just like, well, in my head, I'm thinking, well, this is probably lost cause, probably just politely telling me no. But when Lars had replied to my email, because we were all CC'd to each other, so sometimes it'd be his agent responding, sometimes with Lars. And so he was just like, no. He goes, what we can do is like, since I won't have time for the next tour, because I'm preparing for the next tour already, because it's pretty much like he just toured, recording new songs, then going to tour again, so there was no time for interview. So he was just like, what show would be closest to y'all? And that's when we determined Austin. And I said, the Austin show, we could hopefully swing by. Oh, okay, cool. So the show's like coming close, but I didn't really want to get tickets, especially if that would be an awkward thing where we get tickets, we go see him, and then he doesn't want to do it, or he's like, no, or whatever. Yeah. So we finally, he's like, no, for sure, we will do it. So we go to the show. It was a fun show, actually. That was really fun. That was fun. I think Amanda Lepre was there. Actually, got to hear Schaefer the Dark Lord perform. And honestly, even though I'm not the biggest Schaefer the Dark Lord fan, just going on Spotify listening, he put on a good set. So I kind of gained a little more interest in Schaefer during that time. And then, of course, MC Lars, the few times we've seen him, he always puts on a really entertaining show. Yeah. And so it's getting late, though. So I'm kind of already thinking to myself, I'm like, well, it was a good show, so I guess at the very least, we had a good time, yada, yada, yada. So I kind of asked him and his, I don't know if that was his agent or I think it was just his friend.
I think that was just a friend.
A friend, right, that he was staying with. And so I'm just like...
Yeah, because I remember he even made a comment, let me check with my manager to make sure it's cool that I'm actually staying.
That's right.
They were originally going to stay at a hotel.
Yeah. But then the friend offered.
Yeah,
why not save money and just hang with me?
Yeah.
So I said, when I was talking to him, I was like, well, I don't want to intrude though, so check with the guy. And that guy was super into it. He was just like, he was drunk too, but he was just like, y'all come by, like, fuck it, do the interview at my house. I don't give a shit. Like, let's go. He's like really hyped. And Lars was just like, I mean, that's fine. He goes, honestly though, because he was more concerned about us, because we were obviously really looked tired as fuck. And because it had been a long day that day between the travel and the fucking show. And so he's just like, are y'all like still up for it? Because and of course at that point I'm like, we're here at the battle. Like I didn't tell him this, but like in my head I'm thinking, we have like gone this far. If we pussied out now, that would be fucking big shame. So I was like, no, we're doing this. So we set up in the dude's garage. First of all, dude has a killer pad, like fucking like insanely nice, big ass house with a badass game room. He had he was the one that had the fucking table where you could change the maps.
Yeah, he
Like-
had his D&D tabletop set up. So he had a big table, like almost like a pool table.
Almost like a pool table.
And then right above, he had a ceiling-mounted projector. And that's where he would load up and project
The maps.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
What
It was
the
really
hell?
sick.
Big fucking nerd. Awesome
Yeah.
shit. He showed us the theater room. He was super into showing us his house, and I kind of don't blame him if you have a house like that.
I mean, it's like, yeah.
It was a little
waiting
funny
for
because
flexing.
we were getting super sidetracked though, so that's the other thing. Because at this point, it's almost like 3 or 4 in the morning.
I think
Maybe 2 or 3 in the morning.
it was probably like 1 or 2.
Okay, at that point.
It was around close to 4 when we started.
When we
driving
started,
back.
we started driving back. So
Yeah.
we were there for about 2-ish hours total between the interview, and then we also played a few rounds of Smash afterwards. And finally, we're all getting the sleepies after that. We had a great interview. In the interview and the video interview, you can't even tell that we're tired. Like I was like, I was doing my thing. Joe was doing a great job with the camera work and everything. And we were just like in there. And John was kind of yes-manning me, but like it helped. Like it worked in the thing. Because I mean, to be fair, I am the one who like thinks and prepares all the questions for that shit. So it's kind of like, it's not like I told John, hey, you better have some shit written up. Like it just kind of like John was just vibing with it. But it was a really fun interview. And then after that, we just played Smash until we got so fucking tired and just wanted to go back home.
Yeah.
Then we eventually stopped by. Did we get coffee at Buc-ee's? Or coffee
I did get a coffee at Buc-ee's and it did not help.
It did not help.
Well, that
because
was also when the front, I think my left headlight went out.
Oh,
No.
So we're also driving with only one working
so
light.
we're exhausted.
And I'm...
Joe's fighting sleep for dear life.
Yeah.
The front headlights out. It's dark as fuck, especially in those inner, between Austin to here, all those stretches of highway.
Oh yeah.
There's not a lot of lighting.
It was a little scary.
When we got to Buc-ee's, it was like we reached fucking heaven. My stomach, because I don't eat all day on days we do stuff like that, just because I'm not trying to, stop at the restroom or do whatever. So I want to make sure that we're there. Anyways, and then when we got there though, I ate my usual. I got a Reuben sandwich, chili cheese fries. I fucking went off on that bitch, and then also got some. We got some of their pastries also because their pastry. Everything at Buc-ee's is so fucking good.
Oh,
It is so fucking good. It's really hard not to at least spend at least a bill there. Like normally, that's about how much I spend there.
Now.
Well, now it's going to be even easier, right? Y'all, it just reminds me. You remember that cringe guy in Idub's video that he talked about, the like conspiracy theorist dad, white dude or whatever, and he's like walking around Buc-ee's during the pandemic, and he's like, "Look at these sheep.
Oh, yeah.
Look at," and it had to be in a Buc-ee's. It had to be in a Buc-ee's, and I'm like, oh fucking. I mean, Idub's is from San Antonio, so like, even though he's lived in LA for like years now, he still knows what people are like here. So he goes like, he was showing that clip, and I was just like, oh god, of course they'd be from Texas. God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I mean, I love going to Buc-ee's, but I mean, fuck going there during the day.
Yo, yeah, it's super busy. We only did that I think once, like at least us.
Yeah.
We did that when we were on the way to a show and we stopped for gas or something, and like so many vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I needed to take a piss, so we went inside and there was a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
But awesome station though, especially at night. That's why I do love the fact that their kitchen doesn't close because we can go there at night and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And their candied pecans are some of my favorite.
Yes.
I always grab a couple bags of those, especially when you eat them there because they're under the heat lamp and they taste so good. Anyway, stop being fat ass. But I almost forgot we were recording because it was narrative time. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. So that happened years ago. It's kind of crazy to think how long ago that was. For those of you listening, I know our numbers haven't been as high, but hey, that's what happens when you take 2 years off. So definitely got to get back in the promotion circle. I admit I've been kind of lazy with that. Normally, I make a flyer and then fucking post it all over the place. So I need to get back on the social media wagon of like actually posting heavily as opposed to just, it's out and just fucking off. But in due time, we are still kind of easing back into it, even though this is already our 3rd episode back. I got a brain fart. So yeah, other than that, what's everyone been up to this past 2 weeks, technically? Yeah. Welcome back, by the way, Anthony, even though the listeners will never know you were gone.
No, yeah, I was.
Other than the fact that I told them we were going to be gone, but
I just disappeared a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, aside from the fact that I went on a little vacation, I went over to New Mexico. Albuquerque. That was pretty nice. Just for the fact that when we were supposed to leave, it snowed, and to get out of Albuquerque, you gotta drive some hills and some mountains. So yeah, that there was no way in hell we were gonna do that when possibly black ice was gonna be on the road. So we kind of stayed there an extra day and a half, and then left the day after, and we were completely fine after that. But,
Yep.
During that time, I mean, that was fun. It was fun over there. I loved it.
Yeah,
I always like seeing snow. I don't get that a lot, so I enjoy the cold while it lasts before blistering heat then comes.
Yeah, see, it's fun to enjoy snow, not here. I will say that because I used to pass through there back when we used to do our drives to Cali, where we would meet up with the relatives and then we would come back to Vegas. So it was always a big U shape, and then eventually back to Cali, then back to Texas. But when we would do that, and we would go to Nevada and New Mexico during the snow, it's a good time. What I will say is that a good time is going to Phoenix during peak summer. That's fucked. Your pets can't even walk on the concrete. There's warnings everywhere. Don't let your pets walk on the concrete because they will literally try your fucking paws off and everything. It gets super hot. I think when we went one year, it was 115, and it was dry heat, thankfully. But that sun you found, I was just why am I under a fucking heat?
You can't be under the sun for so long, especially that.
So I think y'all chose a good. It wasn't Phoenix, but on top of that, y'all chose a good time to do it.
Yeah.
Outside of getting stuck in the snow, because that's the other risk you kind of go when you go too cold. Yeah. But alas, still, I'm glad y'all made it home safe because when you told me y'all got snowed in, I was like, just be safe.
Yeah, I mean the road trip over there too. I mean, it's just not exactly I wouldn't say it's not really full of things to look at as well. Nothing really catches your eye except for miles upon miles of just dirt.
Right.
that you're seeing everywhere.
There's a lot of that.
And I think I remember me and my brother just laughing at the fact that we got to a place called, what was it? Mexico or Mex. They were trying to combine New Mexico and Texas. And it was Texaco, I think it was called.
Like a gas station?
Or somewhere. No, it was just a little small town. It was something like that. And I was just dude,
some mashup of
how
words.
bad did they just wanted to be special?
Yeah.
And I'm just just give me my gas and let me get the hell out of here, please. But I mean, other than that, I mean, in terms of the week after, when I was just enjoying the rest of my vacation, I've still been watching, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, going through that, and I'm now playing Octopath Traveler 2 since that came out.
Let's go.
So that is going to be super fun to be playing, and that's probably what's going to be taking over.
Majority of your time.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be playing anything else. I'm going to hopefully finish Tales of Arise. Hopefully by the end of this month, because that's kind of the goal that I've been trying to do, is just trying to finish a game every month. So I'll probably make Octopath March's game of the month to finish. And I got a 3DS, so that's fun playing Monster Hunter.
A 2DS XL.
2DS XL, actually, yeah.
That was such a confusing time for the marketing because all those consoles were great. Whether it was the 2DS, the 2DS XL, the 3DS, the 3DS XL, the new 3DS XL, which is what I had, and the new 3DS. So that was a time. That was a time where there was a lot of that weird,
a lot of stuff just
classic shitty Nintendo branding. But it was a good time, though. It was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's just fun because I'm getting the chance to actually play an older Monster Hunter title.
Yes,
and a Monster Hunter title that I know is
I absolutely love that.
Beloved by a lot of the Monster Hunter fans.
Yes, that was the one that really took a lot of my time.
Yeah, one of the you ask a Monster Hunter old diehard Monster Hunter fan what's their favorite Monster Hunter. Mm-hmm. A lot of them do say Monster Hunter Tri.
Yep.
3 Ultimate was their favorite.
Yep, good stuff. Good stuff.
Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to this past 2 weeks.
All right, Joe. What about you? What you been up to?
Work has been hectic as usual.
I've only let up eventually.
Yeah, still focusing on a lot of guitar. That's actually where most of my time has been.
Mm-hmm.
So really haven't done that much gaming. I have unfortunately not touched Fire Emblem Engage since I last played it, but have played a little bit of Breath of the Wild here and there. Cleared one of the, got one of the divine spirit beasts.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so got that one done. So that was pretty cool. Was gifted a box of Photon Hypernova. During the
right,
holidays.
yeah. I remember
Yeah.
you sending that in the Discord.
Yeah, and I got some pretty nice pulls.
Yeah, just pretty nice is putting it very lightly. So, I mean, yeah, you got some pretty good pulls on there.
Yeah, I mean, hey, could have gotten triple tactics thrusts, but didn't. But still, Kashtira Arise, pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was fun opening those.
If TCGs weren't so expensive, I love the feeling of opening cards. Like my short little stint where I got really back into collecting Pokemon cards, even though I wasn't playing, but like just collecting.
Yeah.
When I got a few, especially if you do it a la carte by boosters, because I was trying to get cards from different sets. So I wasn't trying to buy boxes because that's fucking expensive. And I was just trying to get crossing my fingers at a time, though with how much I spent on boosters and those variety packs, I might have been able to buy a couple of boxes probably, but yeah, it's a thing, it adds up real fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's a satisfying feeling though, because it's the OG loot box, 100%.
Yeah.
It has that gambling thrill.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And when you get that one you want, ooh, it's so good.
Yeah.
That's cool though. And that was a gift? Even better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a complete gift, just
That's awesome.
literally out of left field, hey, what box do you want? Okay.
Were you even thinking you were going to get some of those pulls that you ended up getting?
No.
Because
No.
it's pretty
They're
rare.
pretty rare, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, literally, I got it, and I was just like, "Oh, I want that new Plunder Patrol card."
Now the main question is: Are you going to keep it for use or sell it?
That's a tough one, because some of the big money cards that I got was Kashtira, but the problem with that is that you need to spend big money for the other cards.
Yeah.
That go along with it.
Yeah, but the Xyz Kashtira Rise, I'll probably hang on to that one because I've been seeing some decks that are, even though they're not a main Kashtira deck, they're running it in the extra deck. So might hang on to that one for that one spell card. I don't know. We'll see. But then it's also the question of what to play, because Plunder Patrol sounds cool. I heard apparently ninjas are now pretty decent, so that's tempting.
Yeah, I think it all depends on whenever I get a certain expensive card, if I have any type of actual good emotional attachment to the card, I'll probably keep it. But if it's something that I know I'll never use,
and you can get a decent buck off of it, you're like, why not?
Like for example, I have there's a Kashtira Rise heart I think I got. It's $15 it goes for, something like that, $10. So I'm obviously just gonna sell that right away because I'm just I'm not gonna play Kashtiras.
Yeah.
Because I try to steer away from meta because I don't like playing meta much. I like seeing it, I like watching it, I don't like playing against it.
Yeah.
I also have Guardian Chimera too, and that's been actually gone up on price too, and I've never used it, so I'm just might as well just gonna go ahead and sell it.
Yeah, it's kind of been like that with me too. Actually, when Sky Strikers first came out, I did buy a box of Dark Saviors, and I opened a copy of Sky Striker Engage in it.
Oh wow!
And even though I was hoping to run that deck because of the fact that Sky Striker Engage was almost $100 card at the time, I was like, yeah, there's no realistic way I'm gonna spend $200 for four copies.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I just sold it, and then used that money towards other things. And I've had instances where I've traded my way up to getting certain cards like Apollosa back when she was like $80-something. I had a Thanos Dragon. That's what I used. I opened the Thanos Dragon, and it was the same situation. It's like, well, I'm not gonna buy 2 more, so
right.
yeah. I just found somebody in the local Yu-Gi-Oh group, and I was like, I want an Apollosa, and then I think I just paid cash for whatever was left to.
Kind of like a difference.
Yeah, exactly. So Yeah, that's usually one thing I've done. Unless it's something that I really like or whatever, I'll usually just sell it. But I did open like a Rite of Air Mixer last time I had a box, but I held on to that one, and probably for the best because I think because Adventure is now kind of turning into an engine, and I think it's kind of starting to get its value back. But we'll see. But yeah, I think the Xyz I'll probably hang on to, but the spell card I might look into selling or trading away.
It's probably a decent choice to do.
Yeah. Otherwise, not much has been going on.
So the old guitars and the Yu-Gi-Ohs.
Guitars and the Yu-Gi-Ohs, yeah.
Have you actually played the TCG, like not Master Duel, but like the actual TCG in a while, or not really?
It's been a fucking hot minute.
I figured. Okay, I was gonna say I don't recall because
yeah,
it's probably not as long as like ago. I wouldn't. I mean maybe, but I wouldn't assume it's as long ago as when you and John played like ages ago before the podcast one day. But
right.
you probably played after that, but
yeah. I was more active like pre-COVID because I was actually going to locals
then kind of like slowed
every
down.
2 weeks. Yeah.
You haven't really rolled back into it after.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How long ago was that when like you ordered a card and it didn't come in time, and then you ended up buying it at the tourney because at that point you're just like, well, fuck it, I can just buy it here.
Yeah, and then the fucker blacklisted
Okay.
me.
Yeah, what a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck am I? What is happening? Okay, then just ignore the TV.
It was
It's
so
supposed to be
annoying because, yeah, so I had ordered 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I had to order them separately. And so I was still waiting on 1 copy to come in, and it never showed up. Yeah, it was annoying. And so I had to go to a tournament up in New Braunfels. And so we went there, and then there was actually a card vendor there. So the people that it essentially was that. I like the group that I went with. I was just like, I need one more Infinite Impermanence. I'm actually going to see if he has one. So I go up and I'm like, do you have any Imperms? He's like, oh yeah, right here, like $45. I was like, I will buy one. So I got that, and I was like, cool, let me get these shitty Effect Veilers out. Which, no, Effect Veiler's not shitty, but it's a weaker Imperm. So, yeah, and then I just messaged the seller. I was like, yeah, I haven't gotten it when you told me that they would be here, and, I ended up just buying another one because I needed it for a tournament. So I just kind of want my, once it gets here, I'll just send it back to you. Like, don't worry about it. And so I got a refund, and then
blacklisted.
Then just blacklisted me, yeah. So now I can't even buy from that shop on TCG.
Now that doesn't give you like a bad rep or anything on that site. There's like no it's not like eBay feedback where the person's just like.
I don't think the sellers can. I don't think buyers can. I don't think so. Okay. I don't know, but
because that would suck.
Yeah.
Imagine having a ding on there just because the person is their fault.
Right, like, I don't even think I was really being rude. And then another thing that was frustrating me, too, was this person kept shifting the goalpost on the expectation.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that part of the story.
So I was like, hey, still haven't gotten it. They're like, well, let's give it to the end of the week. If not, then, I'll just refund it. And I'm like, okay. And then, I was like, hey, end of the week, still haven't gotten it.
Go just give it to I hate
Let's
it.
give it like another couple of days. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, like, I've had a seller do that before, and then I ended up contacting. It was through Etsy, and I ended up contacting Etsy, and I just give my money back. And I was like, I hate to go that route. I hate to be that person because I think the biggest issue with a lot of sites is, especially if you don't have like chronic issues where you're constantly reporting sellers like every time or whatever.
Yeah.
They tend to, just to keep customer satisfaction up, they tend to just like side with the buyer a lot of times, but then that can be abused. Like eBay is one of the most notorious things because if you read their TOS, it's very buyer biased, I guess you could say, because the buyer has all the control of the situation. Like eBay statement and PayPal, at least when they were together, basically says like, if the product you bought, just even in your opinion, I mean, in so many words, obviously, in your opinion, doesn't look exactly, you can ask for a refund. And it's just like, and sometimes sellers are just like, fuck, I don't even want the product back because it's going to waste more money shipping and I'll just eat the loss on the thing. It sucks because you can be a total douchebag on there. And it's like, whatever. But anyways, I was going to say, but so other than that,
Yeah.
Week.
I mean, pretty good week. Oh,
That's
actually, small side effect because of video games and music. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Adam Neely's channel, but I recently watched a really cool video about like this movement with jazz and video game music, since Adam Neely actually performed the bass for the 8-bit big band at MagFest.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was actually a really interesting.
One day we'll go to MagFest.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
I really want to go there someday.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We need to go there. Like, that's one of the reasons I want to really get this thing moving, is because it would be cool to do that. Especially if we were guesting and then we don't even got to pay for shit. That would, at least as far as like they want us to be there as opposed to us forcing ourselves upon them. It would be cool though for that. PAX Prime, shit like that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my goals, is to visit MagFest someday.
Yeah. So that'd be cool.
Really cool video for anybody who's into video game music.
That's cool. Oh, we're not going to spoil it, but we did see Ant-Man.
Yes, we did see Ant-Man. Yeah,
I did as well, actually.
You did also? Mm-hmm. Well, one of them. Well, maybe next time we'll do a spoiler cast. We'll see. That'd be cool. But it's fresh. You know, fuck this itinerary. All right. Well, maybe I might just cut this out of order, but I do kind of want to talk about Ant-Man. It is honestly interesting that a lot of the game music came on this week, which we'll still touch, but we'll do that and speed through that as we need to. It really wasn't that interesting of a news week, so let's talk Ant-Man, and then I will cut this at now. Let me make the note of when, and then we're going to start spoiler cast. So, you all are either hearing this if I'm too lazy to cut it right now, or y'all are hearing it at the end, and it's not going to be that seamless because my tick mark was at 26 minutes. Okay, so with that being the case, Ant-Man, good stuff. Okay, so the Ant-Man films, Joe and I were talking about it before we actually went and saw it, was the fact that we're talking about, like, of the Marvel films, especially the very oversaturated MCU, Ant-Man has one of the better track records in terms of the films being fairly strong. So we went into this one fairly confident, but I would definitely say that, like, pretty pleased with the results. So let's see, Ant-Man, in the beginning, they're talking to... Well, I'm not going to go like all the way to the beginning. We're going to talk about fucking Paul Rudd's monologue and all that shit. Even though it is kind of funny. I like how the film kind of just like wraps it all around with like the way it starts and the way it ends is kind of one of those classic like callbacks, like, you know, like a really good stand-up routine basically. But Paul Rudd just does such a good job with the role of Ant-Man. Like, I don't know much about so not Hank Pym, but he's what's his
Scott
name?
Lang.
Scott Lang.
Yeah.
Because Hank Pym is the wife beater in the comics, right?
Very much so, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. And that's the character that what's his name plays.
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas is actually that one. Although in the movie, not portrayed as said wife beater, thankfully. So they're kind of there, and then of course you're introduced to his daughter, who you're just with the whole timeline jump and stuff like that. It's interesting because it gives him a little bit of a leeway to play around with stuff like this, because you don't have to worry about like actually waiting till the kid grows up to be however, like, you know, waiting that many years and stuff like that. So instead of doing like a scene by scene thing that we did with Cats, because that ended up being a really long review, more so going to just kind of discuss points that we liked, things that we could improve, things that we want to see, etc., etc. First off, and I'm really bad with names. Did you remember the name of the daughter? Cassie. So with Cassie, what did you all think about the actress's performance for Cassie and the character in general?
I think it was good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Same here.
I think she did fine.
Yeah, like I think it's one of those things where in the initial trailers, I was a little worried that she was gonna be, and she still kind of was in a way, but it wasn't bad though. Where it was like, oh, it's gonna be the little snot-nosed kid is gonna actually, you know, and they do kind of follow that storyline, especially in the beginning, where she's like a arrested or in the prison or whatever.
Yeah.
And she got a little bit of a rebellious streak. And at that point, although it was very early in the film, I'm kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, kind of tropey. We see this a lot in media where it's just like, oh, the kid means well, but has needs a lot of focus, or he needs to kind of reel it back in. I was really worried they were going to stretch that part out too much, but I'm glad that they actually don't. I was really worried. I was going to say, because there are some things that take it way too far where it's just like, oh, the kid's being a little shit. Oh, but then, we got to kind of fix it or gear it this way. Oh, the kid's a piece of shit again. With this one, it was just that was kind of her big thing. It's all, the rest of it's just kind of implied that she had been arrested several times. She didn't actually have to just keep seeing it over and over again. Obviously, she's very pro-human rights, obviously not wanting to let, what you would call pretty much a textbook lib.
Yeah.
But it's not, I don't know, Disney/Marvel, sometimes they can be a little weird with the way they portray certain groups, especially when they try to be a little too gung-ho left. But in this movie, I don't think there were any real moments where I was just like, oh god, this is being handled really poorly. Which I think helped with a majority of the pacing of the movie, which I don't remember what the runtime was, but it felt like it had to have been longer than an hour and a half. At least I felt like it
certainly is. Yeah, it's definitely not 3 hours, but it's close.
So somewhere in between. Maybe near the golden 2-hour range.
It might even be a little over 2 hours, probably.
But thankfully, it didn't feel like that, because there's a lot of fun to be had there. It's interesting seeing Evangeline Lilly with that haircut, just because, did she have that haircut at the end of the last one, the second movie? The short hair?
I don't think so.
She didn't, right?
It
wasn't until this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting seeing her with that haircut. It wasn't bad, I just got surprised.
Yeah, it's 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, so right over 2 hours. So yeah. What did you all think about Kang as a villain?
So,
because I don't know much about Kang in terms of the character at all.
Yeah,
so
I
curious.
don't know much about Kang from the comics, honestly.
That's so I was joking.
I will say I prior to watching the film, I did see I'm not sure if y'all are familiar. He's a YouTuber, but FD Signifier. I saw a tweet where he's kind of talking about yeah, it's kind of weird. You got this big colonizer villain being a black man.
Yeah.
So it is one of those. I loved the performance, but yeah, the optics are a little weird. But I mean, I think it's fine.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm glad you made that point, because that's kind of where I was kind of fumbling around to say it, but that's very much what I was trying to say, is where Disney has a hard time being truly open-minded or liberal, is they always want to seem like it. They always have we talk about that really cringy girl power moment and fucking, was it Endgame?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little.
It was really ham-fisted and a little.
It really
too,
sucks too, because Infinity War did it so much better.
Absolutely, because that's a much cooler scene.
Because it still has that sequence.
Yeah.
But it's done so much better than Endgame.
Yeah, and so between that / being scared to make the colonizer white, kind of it's the same thing with, we talked about it in Wakanda Forever, where I mentioned, of course it was
the first Black Panther film. Killmonger was right.
That's true.
Killmonger was fucking right. Yeah. Why'd you make him the villain?
Yep, pretty much. So there's that. But in Wakanda Forever, they also have the thing where that the villain or the French should have probably been the American team wanting to fucking.
Actually, I think it was supposed to be American.
Mm-hmm. And then of course they were too scared to piss off the fucking ticker jerks people, so they want the racist rednecks to still see the movie.
I'll say, if I'm not mistaken, I think they even changed the. You know how it's supposed to be a UN thing?
Yeah.
I think they even altered the title of one of the nations
on
the thing, because I remember seeing it and I was like, this looks weird.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Maybe I might have to go back and check it out again.
Yeah, especially if that's the case, it's very interesting. But yeah. So pretty much just using those few case examples, that's kind of I'm really glad about that, because I was able to explain it a little bit better than what I was doing earlier, where that's where like Disney / Marvel has a really hard time committing to just kind of giving a real rebellious, not even rebellious, just like a fucking the truth really, but like they have a hard time because they're just so scared to piss everybody off.
Well, I mean, I think I kind of mentioned it when we were driving back. It's almost like in these films they want to kind of talk about something without talking about something.
Yeah.
And then of course, you have to think it is fucking Disney.
Of course.
One of the largest corporations. Moguls, like,
who are probably run by a lot of those people that they're allegedly taking shots at.
Yeah. Like, I did love the part where Hank was like, "Now I know socialism
is a charge word." Yeah.
And then they just kind of cut that so short that I was like,
Yeah, it was, see, and again, that's another jab where they were like, to those of us who get it, we get it, but they didn't want to confuse the brain dead right-wingers. They were just like, "Oh, enough, we'll make the joke, but we don't want to explain it too much." Like, they were like scared.
It's like they want to say the thing, but they're going to keep it as a...
Gotta be veiled a bit, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't want to be too masked off because they're scared to scare the other side away.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was interesting seeing those nods. I mean, especially with Cass, she was very straightforwardly like, Gen Z kind of like
Very
wanting to be
activist.
Politically involved, very activist, stuff like that. So that was interesting seeing her with that. Without like having to like show that streak of like, I was really worried they were gonna go through like a whole sequence of having to show all the arrests and stuff like that. It's also kind of interesting that the only person in the family that was like really concerned about it and not as accepting about it was fucking Scott Lang. So it's kind of funny because like, but I think the way they wrap it together and then they kind of like learn to like, I don't know. I think overall a lot of that stuff is handled well.
To me, it felt very natural for the character because I mean, obviously. He's in that whole, like, I don't want you to be like me kind of thing, getting tossed in jail left and right. But, after a certain point, he just kind of accepts it all.
Yeah, and it's nice the way they do that.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was kind of funny, and, like, I'm not sure, maybe I just don't know the Ant-Man lore that much, because I just really don't. It's not like I really like a lot of Ant-Man before seeing a lot of these movies. But can he not just turn big on command? Or does it have to glitch? Because for me, it's a very much like, why didn't the birds just drop everyone off at Mordor kind of situation where I'm just like, when he's fucking everyone shit up as the big boy, why the fuck didn't he just do that to begin with? Be like, fuck you, Cam, he's gonna run in as a big boy. It's kind of interesting that like that far into the conflict is like almost when he decided to. And this was a moment I missed because I did have to piss a lot during that movie because I drank a lot of soda. But unless there's a moment I missed where he's kind of like explaining why you can't just go big.
I think part of it was mainly because he talked about it with Cass. I think when he was like, "Oh yeah, do you feel really hungry when you went big?" I think it's because like it takes a lot out of.
Oh, okay, it takes a lot of energy. It's true because she becomes small when she like gets really exhausted. Right? When she's like, "Oh, this feels a bit," and she kind of that makes sense. So I guess he didn't want to blow his load too early, basically. Yeah, it's kind of like what it was with that. Okay. That makes sense. At least they explained it. Because otherwise, I would have just thought it was kind of funny that he didn't just go big mode. But that kind of makes sense then, yeah. I thought that the creatures were kind of interesting. It was kind of like almost like a Star Wars. Like the first time you see the cantina with all the chuckle fucks. It's kind of interesting the universe they tried to build. Bill Murray's character just being kind of like funny, like a little funny cameo as a piece of shit, basically. What was I gonna say? I'm trying to think. What else is that? I'm trying to go through like the narrative in my head because I'm trying to remember like I'm trying to sequence.
Always with those Marvel movies, though, comedic relief makes makes the movie just a lot enjoyable.
It's not too bleak.
Different times, just a bunch of the different times that the movie's just funny.
The lesson that like Warner Brothers is slowly learning with the DC films.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Oh,
MODOK, there you go.
Yeah.
That was one of those things where like MODOK looked so weird, but at the same time, I think if I recall properly, you said it best when you were like, it's probably the best they could do with it because how else are you supposed to take a dude's face and stretch it out on a fucking green screen canvas like that in MODOK's body? I thought that when he has like the whole mask shit on or the face, it looks pretty intimidating. So I thought that looked kind of cool, especially when he's chasing cats around and he's firing the old beams and like all the fucking. Well, like it's kind of cool seeing him go into that like fucking killer mode basically, because otherwise he is just a little goofy fuck. Death scene, one of the best ever. When he's like dying, that's pretty fucking great.
To die as an Avenger.
Yep, you made it. You're in. Yeah, that's like it's so fucking funny.
Always thought of you as a brother.
Yeah.
Just he reaches out with his hand.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. He's just like kind of just accepting it because he doesn't want to be an asshole in this guy's last moments.
Stop being a dick. But look at me. I'm a dick.
Yeah, I'm a dick. That's
It's
fucking
never
funny.
too late to stop being a dick.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's pretty hilarious. The charges in Kang's bubble. Just out of like, just like can get in. That's pretty funny.
His butt cheeks will ever be remembered.
Yeah, pretty much. The ant shit was pretty fun. The ant army stuff was pretty funny. Just this fucking advanced ants. I'm sorry, but I would not want to live in a world with advanced ants. That sounds scary as fuck. I hate regular ants as it is.
I mean, they seem like they're just gonna like chill and do their own things.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
maybe
they
they're
explained it. They
like
sound
maybe.
like it's like they're like they sound like nanites or something, where like they like build their own stuff. They were building their own like.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting seeing the ant farm with tech in it basically.
Yeah.
They were making that they become that fucking advanced. That shit was kind of interesting. I think villains I think I'm just so spoiled to seeing the Thanoses and the Galactuses and the fucking really dressed up villains.
Yeah.
That it is interesting every once in a while seeing someone who's basically just a dude. Yeah, his face became blue every once in a while, or he had lightning shit, or like whatever. But at the end of the day, he just looks like some dude. And I think that was almost surprisingly refreshing, because I remember when they first showed him as the villain in like the trailers, I was kind of like, oh, he's just some guy.
Yeah.
But like, when you kind of learn about how evil he actually is, the fact that he is this like fucking multi-universe maniacal fuck, basically, I was kind of like, well, this guy's actually a villain without having to be purple. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's interesting. It's just like he's just an evil dude. Like, and now, well, other than being just textbook evil, was there? Again, because I had to leave several times to get rid of my Diet Coke. Was there any explanation for exactly why he became evil? Was this guy always just supposed to be evil?
At least in this film, it really didn't go into it.
Okay, so I didn't miss that.
There were parts where he kept saying like, "Oh well, something worse is coming," and I
he hints to that.
Stop it. Mm-hmm. You know, Michelle Pfeiffer's character asks, you know, who's Kang, and he says, "It's who I have to become."
Mm-hmm.
And so it is kind of one of those where I feel like they're gonna do another Thanos thing where like we gotta have a villain where you understand why he's doing these things.
Right.
When in the comics, Thanos is just an asshole because he can't get pussy from death.
Right. Whereas in the movies they try to humanize him a bit.
Yeah.
Especially that scene where he's out in he lost his daughter, he's out in the field having a fucking zen moment. It's just like,
I killed the people I love and care about so I can, commit genocide.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, yeah.
It's like, yeah, dude.
It's very dumb. So, I mean, I'm fairly certain later on they'll reveal some fucking tragic backstory as to why he has to become the villain.
But they didn't do it in this one. Okay, so I'm glad I didn't.
Well, did you guys stick around for the end?
We did.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the only really explanation was just the fact that like he has his other universe, like multiverse copies.
Pharaoh him and the other hams.
So like
it was kind of funny seeing the whole stadium of him.
Yeah.
It was like supposed to be so serious and the music was all dramatic and I was kind of like laughing in my head. I was kind of like, it looks a little funny.
So yeah, so
and I'm guessing the Loki scene is probably his base or like origin.
Yeah.
That would be my.
That was I actually thought that I really like that scene because I'm very curious what they're gonna do with that. Because one, I like Tom Hiddleston's Loki, and then two, I just thought it was I was like, okay, interesting, opening that door, which was expected. That's what we expect from Marvel post-credit scenes. But I liked the way they did it with this one. It was like very interesting timeline. Like kind of like where are they gonna go with this? So especially when he's like, there he is. Like they were searching. Yeah. And it's just like, what is going on? Like, I want to know. So hopefully we'll see. My biggest problem with the MCU, I mean, it's been overexpanded for a while, but I am so tired of them making me watch Disney Plus shows because now I want to know what happens.
Yeah.
It's at the point where, although I find that post-credit scene interesting, other than watching a Loki season 3, because I do think that would be in season 3?
2.
Season 2?
2, yeah.
Would be interesting. Is it worth? I would probably wait to see what people think.
Yeah.
Only because I'm like, is this worth reactivating my subscription?
Right.
Now, if you haven't already, or you're regularly using a Disney Plus subscription, I can kind of be like it's probably a little easier to just like do it. But it's just one of those things where I really disagree with old Meek. So when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first aired, first of all, it's dog shit. I don't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I know it allegedly gets better in season 23, but it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'm going to watch all that bullshit just to watch a show, right? But then on top of that too, back then, I really wanted more than just Coulson tying it together. I wanted more tie-in shit. I'm like, I wish more stuff appeared in the movies and shit. Now I hate that shit because now it's just too much now. Like, there are just too many shows where I'm just like, I forgot one of the Marvel movies we saw, this was like years ago, but one of the Marvel movies we saw, and I remember thinking to myself, I think you were, Mara had explained to me what it was because I didn't watch the show that it was on, but I was just like, wait, why the fuck are they like that, or why are they doing that? And then I had to be explained because I didn't fucking watch that Disney Plus show.
It might have been like Winter Soldier.
Might have been, yeah. And I was just like,
that era.
some shit like that, yeah, around then. And I was just kind of like, wait, what? And then I had to get explained because it's just like, again, I didn't see the fucking show. It's like, well, fuck off.
You mean
it's
like
the
you
movie
didn't
should
watch
be the movie
that
for me.
shitty show? And
Yeah.
Now you don't know what's going on.
Now you don't know what's going
You
on.
fucking
Exactly.
loser.
I think of the trailers I've seen for the Marvel stuff. Oh yeah, so when I saw, remember that video we talked about it when the big roadmap that we watched, because I watched it and then I sent it to you from fucking San Diego Comic Con, I think it was.
I think
And then I was just like,
why are
okay,
people cheering for
yeah.
the Thunderbolts?
yeah,
Nobody
it's
fucking knows
like,
who the
yeah.
Thunderbolts are.
And then coming up next after that, we have Big Dick Lickers. Oh my god, the Big Dick Lickers! And like, y'all don't even know who the fuck that is. Like, calm down. Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah, the Thunderbolts pop was weird. I was like, who? I was just like, who? And then like, after all that, so it's like fucking like 8 Disney Plus shows and like 8 movies in 1 year. Then they showed the roadmap for the next year. I'm just like, are you insane? Like, y'all already have like 2 years planned out? And they're like, here's another fucking like 9 movies and another like 7 shows. And then on top of that, the only thing I really kind of want to see is the fucking 2 Avengers movies that are coming out.
Yeah.
But I kind of like,
But now you gotta watch all
that bullshit.
to know
Exactly.
how it's going.
Is there like another Shang-Chi thing? Like, I want to fucking see that. And then fucking, the only thing in the timeline that when I saw the trailer for I thought was actually kind of interesting was Secret Invasion. But the problem with that is that takes place before like Sam Jackson even gets the eye patch. So I'm just like, it kind of isn't really having, I mean, I'm sure it'll probably have a post-credit scene or maybe at the end of the movie will tie into the current universe. But I'm like, but it's almost like a prequel thing where it doesn't really matter.
I'm so curious as to how they're gonna do Secret Invasion in this MCU because the Skrulls are not villains.
Correct.
But that's what Secret Invasion was about. It was about the Skrulls invading because they're jerks.
Yeah. So it's going to be very weird.
Yeah, and also like that story left such a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, I don't fucking care about Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
I want to forget about Secret Invasion.
Yeah, here they are. They're going to make a fucking movie about it?
Yeah, like fuck that story. I hated it.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. What else? I think that's about the only thing I really give a fuck about, like in the timeline, other than the 2 Avengers movies. But like you said, the problem is now, if I just say fuck the next 2 years of Marvel movies and I just watch the Avengers, I'm going to be so fucking lost.
Yeah.
There's going to be some assholes that are part of the team now that I have no idea who they are. I'm going to be like, oh, they'll be like, oh, it's the Thunderbolts. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You say that name around me ever fucking again.
The Thunderbolts, though.
Yeah, that was so funny, man. The pop. The fucking audience pop for Thunderbolts.
I'm trying to see if there's a way that somebody has the time or roadmap like listed, because a lot of that shit I don't fucking. Is it Phase 5?
Phase 5.
Phase 5? Okay, here's CNET.com. I love how it opens with why you can trust CNET. I already feel so good.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Yahoo of fucking other fucking cinema websites.
Okay, so let's if it's cool with y'all, let's read through this.
Let's do it.
So Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was the first.
Okay, so we just saw the beginning of the new phase.
Yeah, so now this is going to be for films, and then following will be the Disney Plus series.
Okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be next.
Yeah, mixed feelings about it, but I'll still end up seeing it, of course.
Yeah, seeing the trailer, like I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, what the fuck's going on? And then hearing the audience just laugh at everything like it's really that funny.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah.
It's like I know we're probably more tired of Chris Pratt than the average person, but like,
is it me or did the trailer almost seem like it was hinting that Star-Lord might die?
So it was hinting at that. It also looked like Drax might die. They were kind of like there was that scene where it's like one last time. Then there was that like scene where they pan around everybody like they're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Then fucking Rocket Raccoon was in that Holocaust camp or whatever the fuck they were doing to him, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? It was weird because a lot of those imagery was very dark, but then they just had to go with the he's flirting with Nebula and like all that stupid shit. I was kind of like,
that was weird. They showed Cosmo. I'm totally hyped for that. Actually, give me that Russian dog.
Cosmo.
The Marvels.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
Captain America: New World Order. So that should be the first one with Sam.
Yeah, should be.
Yeah. So that should
be
interesting.
Good. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Is that the name of the show? Oh no, Falcon and Bucky. I don't fucking know the Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
That one's actually pretty good. But again, I don't want to go and watch all this shit.
Yeah. Thunderbolts. Blade.
That could be cool because I like Blade. But also, like, how much is it gonna matter in the Avengers? God knows.
Deadpool 3, your favorite.
Oh yeah, I love Deadpool. Love it when everyone sucks him off because they think he's the funniest character on earth.
Fantastic Four. This will be like a third attempt.
A third attempt. I want to like Fantastic Four so bad, but every single time they shit the bed.
Yeah. It says Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. That's going to be May 2nd, 2025.
Oh wow! So it's even farther than I thought. I thought it was December 2024. Oh god.
No, so you're gonna have to wait a long time for Avengers: Kang Dynasty.
I'm not even give a fuck anymore about it.
It's a quarter of my life.
Also, it's kind of funny, Kang Dynasty.
Then apparently Untitled movie. Okay.
Oh wow! They're getting really indie with the fucking titles, dude.
Then Avengers: Secret Wars, May 1st, 2026.
I'm gonna become so sick of Avengers.
At that point, it's really hard to care. At this point, we kind of just see it, so we can justifiably just shit on it, but then two, it's also just because we want to see what the fuck are they even going to do.
Yeah. And then Armor Wars, TBA. And then for the Disney Plus series, we're going to have What If Season 2. I don't give a fuck.
I don't really give a shit about What Ifs.
I didn't really care much for What If. Some of the animation kind of sucked.
Some of it's really bad.
Yeah. There are a few good stuff, not a lot.
But most of it was pretty boring or bad.
Yeah, most of it was pretty boring. So Secret Invasion is going to be a series.
Okay, Secret Invasion. Oh yeah, that's right. I thought it was a movie, and then at the end it goes Disney Plus.
Yeah, so early 2023. Loki Season 2, so looking forward to that.
Okay, yeah, so we're hyped for that.
Ironheart, so that's going to be the character from Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
So that might be good.
Could be cool.
Echo? Don't know.
What the fuck is that?
Agatha, Coven of Chaos.
Who?
And then Daredevil, Born Again.
Okay, the teaser for that looks pretty cool. So hopefully, because I do like Daredevil.
I still haven't seen Daredevil.
Onofrio's performance. The thing I hated though, I remember when Mario and I watched that show together. Since Mario obviously watched it right away. Then I watched it with him. When you load up, at least before, so this is obviously pre-Disney Plus because it was on Netflix, is when I watched Daredevil. And on there, apparently the boot screen is like a huge spoiler. So I remember when Mario and I booted up the first episode, Mario said, "Oh, don't look!" He goes, "Why is that the thumbnail for when it's loading?" He goes, "That's like a key scene at the end of the show," and I go, "Well, why the fuck is it there?" I go, "Oh god, it was so stupid." At least on Disney Plus, they don't really have thumbnails like that, but still, it was weird. But anyways, yeah, and so much to our point, just really fucking oversaturated.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that pretty much, like I said, we weren't going to do a play-by-play thing like Cats. That was fun, but that was too much effort to go through the entire. It was just that traumatizing, though, that we needed to talk about it play-by-play.
Yeah, we had to discuss our feelings and.
I'm so sorry you guys had to actually watch that. I've never watched it. And
It was a trip.
You should watch it though.
Oh.
Hey, I'm gonna get some of those vodka sodas, right? And then we're gonna watch it.
You know, if
there's some sort of food
if
gonna be
there's a
created,
substance involved,
yeah.
I mean, the experience alone is totally.
I
worth
wish
it,
we
but
could have
being
seen the
inebriated-
unpatched one. Well, we saw the unpatched one, but I wish more people could see the unpatched one.
Yeah.
With literally missing textures.
Maybe I can
And
find
what?
it.
Yeah, there were parts where they forgot to CG over the hands and stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
So instead of cat paws, they would have human hands.
Yeah.
Then big old naked dickless Idris Elba. That was insane.
That scene was
It's
so fucking
what?
jarring. Like, yeah.
We don't want too much of it because you're gonna watch it sometime.
Alright.
Yeah.
You have to.
We
It's
have
such
to.
an experience.
We
You
have
gotta
to.
fucking watch. It'd be like, didn't Shub say that she would just have like viewing parties for that film?
Yeah, because she actually liked the original.
Yeah.
So
That's
she
one
said
thing I
it's
have no.
so she said the modern one is like a trash fire. She just has to do. It's basically it's pretty bad. But yeah, no, definitely we should definitely grab some brewskis and watch that. That'll be fun. Like a watch party.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be fun. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. But yeah, so real quick video game news, just because again, slow week. So this might appear here. I don't fucking know anymore. We're fucking in the multiverse. It doesn't matter. This is all continuous run. I may or may not be too lazy to clip this and fix the order, but whatever. So, game came out recently. It had been announced a while back, but it just came out. It's called Atomic Heart. Now, Joe and I watched the trailer for this about 2 to 3 months ago. It was like the final release date trailer for it. It had a lot of like bleak Soviet imagery and like heavy accents and like the robotic stuff in it. And you were like, you didn't really know what to think of it because you're just kind of like,
RTS or something?
huh?
Isn't it RTS or something like that?
Oh no, this one was like a FP, not even an FPS per se, but it was like a first person view.
Oh, okay.
But
Doesn't it kind of go for like a Bioshock type of feel? To be
kind of like that, yeah. Or We Happy Few, except not as glitchy.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, it's coming back to me now.
Yeah.
It was a long
Because
time.
we watched it like again months ago. So to be fair, I meant to like have y'all watch it again before we watch this, but like whatever. But anyways, it recently came out and there's a bit of controversy around it. Now, now I do want to also see, of course, this is just our given opinion, like whatever we think about this, whatever. But like so there is a lot of very poorly timed pro-Soviet shit in it because that's kind of the world it takes place in. It's like Soviet, so like of course propaganda land is going to be full of propaganda, right? But a lot of people are saying that it's a bit
much.
especially given the conflict with Ukraine recently. So a lot of people are like kind of talking about that. So yeah, one of the biggest issues. So a lot of that people could have just kind of given into reaching or people like interpreting or again timelines because this game was in development since 2017 and that was a bit before a lot of this bullshit that's happened the last few years. However, it did only release a few days ago, so patches or tonal changes could have been made.
Yeah.
But of course, they probably wanted to believe in their artistic integrity or whatever, and they want to alter, which sometimes I can respect that, and other times I think maybe you should budget a little bit, right? But, oh, sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, they're not Soviet Russia.
No.
So like,
But I guess since not much has changed since then, I guess people are still,
I guess.
But, so there's a lot of slippery ground, and you could say this or that, right? But the thing that hurt them the most is on their official Twitter account, they decided to give a hot take on what they thought about the Soviet Ukraine thing. And now they ended up relating it, basically. I'm not trying to find that tweet.
Oh, we all love
but that's where it's one of those things where some people need to shut the fuck up. Now, could this be some crazy pro-Soviet guy that works there? He's just the one guy that's doing that? I don't know. But the whole thing is, when that kind of like came to it, that's when basically it went from some people trying to defend it again, talking about timeline and stuff like that, to a lot of people are kind of like, next, fuck this game, next, kind of, because they decided to do that. Let me see here.
I love the bluebird. It sucks. Yeah, honestly, from what I've seen from the game, because I watched their very first announcement trailer back in, God, it's been probably I want to say it's maybe 5 years, 6 years ago maybe. And from what I saw there, I was just like, oh, this is a really cool concept. Like, this is, machines kind of taking over, with that, Soviet type of feel. I was just like, oh, this could be a really cool horror-esque game. Hell yeah, let's go. And then from what I've seen now, what they released, I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah,
just because it just didn't seem what I thought it was gonna be at first. Because like I said, it plays like BioShock, so or from what I've seen. I haven't played or seen much of it. But it just kind of got disappointing just to the fact of what I saw. And I was like, man, I kind of really wish they would have went more into the horror aspect of the game, because I feel like there it would have had a lot more potential.
Yeah, I found the tweet where they walk it back, but I'm trying to find the original tweet because a lot of the heat started to go where Ukraine wanted to ban the game because they were just like, well, we don't want to hear about these Russian fucks in our country, so they just, and that's kind of understandable. There are many countries. Germany explicitly censored / refused to release Blood Rain over there due to Nazi imagery and the fact that in Germany you very taboo to talk about the Holocaust / World War II / anything related to that because they just don't want to talk about it over there. It's not really taught in their schools. That shit's pretty much strictly.
I've actually been told the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, really? Maybe they've changed it, but back when we were in high school, that was the case. So.
Yeah, no, someone I know from Discord, shout out to Luke, I think he lives in Frankfurt. Yeah, he said no, they totally do address it in schools that it happened, and pretty much hey, this was a bad thing, and we shouldn't allow this to continue on. But yeah.
Okay, well then it's good that their curriculum has been adjusted in the last 15 to 20 years, so that's good to know. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Where the fuck? Yeah, of course. Now that the team is probably spamming it to try to hide the original tweet, because now it just has a bunch of their apology bullshit where they basically talk about being where they pretty much talk about we are what do you call it, a cultural yada yada yada. We have we're pro peace and all this bullshit. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of responses. Although it's kind of funny though that in the middle of a lot of it, there's some guy that said, "Will this have 60 FPS, 1440p on console?" That's kind of a little.
Hey, gamers have their priorities.
I was gonna say, I guess that guy could give a fuck less about fucking that bullshit, so that is kind of fucking funny. But yeah, like I said, the game already looks kind of the animation's a little weird, and again, it looked really dry, so I wasn't sure if it's something I was gonna want to play. But it's one of those things that I may have at one point. If I saw on a sale or in a bargain bin, would have checked out, but not so much anymore. Just because sometimes it just blows my mind that you see so many people with just saying one thing on social media and totally destroying their reputation, and some people still decide to try to say something. It's really weird sometimes. Sometimes you just got to be able to read the room, and sometimes things are just better not said.
Yeah.
Because even if the person that made that tweet, let's just say it's the individual's actual perspective. If they had felt that way and just never said anything, at least we could have still been having this conversation in the light of vagueness, or again, thinking that this game has been in development since before the conflict. But now all of a sudden they kind of tied themselves to it, which is a bit ironic. But there is a game coming to mobile. It's a Doom game. Now, of course, you have ports because you can play Doom on anything, basically. There are already existing ports of Doom 1 and 2 Classic on the on phones already, but it's a brand new overhead shooting game called Mighty Doom, which features a cute Doom Slayer, kind of a more lighthearted. Now there are still decapitations, killing, and stuff like that, but cute. So that's gonna drop March 21st. My biggest concern is it's 2023 and it's Yes, it's it, but it's also published by Bethesda and it's a mobile game.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting egregious amounts of microtransactions. But since the announcement trailer only came out a few days ago, there isn't much details on the mechanics of microtransactions, stuff like that. Now, you can pre-reg on iOS or Android, and it will have the same release date, which is usually the case for like a lot of major games, but usually iOS gets it first, but in this case it will be a dual release between Android and iOS. But when you pre-reg, there is no fee. Usually when you pre-register for a game that is going to be purchasable, you usually buy it then and there, like a pre-order basically, and then it'll just install it when the game actually comes out. So that makes it seem like it's going to be a free-to-play game, and it is a free-to-play game. I can only imagine if they're going to be on a heart-based system where you can only play so many levels or so much of it or die so many times before you either wait out a timer or end up purchasing hearts or whatever to play some more. Of course, one of the most notorious things Bethesda had their hand in that did that was, of course, Blades. Elder Scrolls Blades took forever to come out. A lot of people were hoping that it was going to be a great Elder Scrolls experience on mobile, and it even came out on Switch. And it's not. Basically, it's a horrible first-person. It's as in like the first-person mode of like Skyrim, but with extremely stale-looking graphics compared to Skyrim itself. And it's literally all just waiting or paying for the timer to go away. It's like, oh, would you like to build this blacksmith in this town? Sure. Wait 28 hours or pay 3 gems. And like, I'm scared that this fucking game looks so cute, but might end up being like. When I saw the trailer for it, there was a comment that I kind of like rolled my eyes at, but it also was kind of funny, where at the beginning of the trailer, the first half is a big animated thing with the cute Doomslayer, and the comment was basically like, the first minute is what you want the game to be, and the second minute's what the game's actually going to be like. But I personally don't dislike top-down shooters, so hey, to each their own. Like, yeah, the graphics do look a bit more pixely and a lot more like, it's more like artsy than being like dependent on hardcore 3D graphics. But that doesn't make the game good or bad, depending on that. What will, of course, is the actual mechanics. Now, it is going to be made by, it's actually, even though it isn't id property and published by Bethesda, it's actually going to be developed by another studio. They're a studio out of Nova Scotia called Alpha Dog Games. So we're going to see how they handle it. The problem is, a lot of developers who tend to specialize in mobile games kind of follow that system because mobile games. So there's that. We'll see. I was supposed to say this first, but then everything got kind of like jumbled up anyway, so it's not like at this point it even really matters. But Avatar's James Cameron recently put out a statement comparing him, he said this in a recent interview when being interviewed about Avatar 2 or whatever the fuck it's called, as if anyone gives a fuck. But he compares himself that a lot of his influence when creating the Avatar series, and he feels has a lot of parallels, is J.R.R. Tolkien and Peter Jackson, and how he felt like when he was making the films, he wanted to capture that kind of universe building and that kind of like, he feels like he's kind of like getting there when it comes to making this like epic thing that people can like really love and relate with. And I was just like, this dude is so far off his goddamn rocker. Like, how does he just... It doesn't help that there are still a lot of people who jerk off that series, fucking Avatar, but it's one of those things where it's like, how are you comparing yourself to Tolkien and Peter Jackson?
Part of me kind of wants to like encounter somebody who can passionately tell me about the lore. James Cameron's Avatar.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've yet to meet anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Who gives a fuck about it?
Even
except for the fact that it's a pretty movie.
Exactly. Even the people who like claim to like that film or love that film, I've heard the word love thrown around. They never even talk. They don't really explain what the movie's about. It's like when we just talked about Ant-Man earlier. There was lots of aspects we liked about it. We talked about part of the narrative. Like it's a movie you can talk about. But like when you see, like, I mean, I haven't seen the first Avatar since like it was new, but it's shit still. I can guarantee you, if I watched it right now while we're recording this podcast, it's gonna be ass still. But what's the big difference back there? Is yes, graphically it was pretty revolutionary and high budget.
Yeah.
What happened with this one? There's fucking iPhone games that look just as good as it, if not better. Fucking Genshin Impact had a better frame rate than that fucking movie. And it's just like one of those things where, no, here we are with fucking James Cameron's Avatar. It's supposed to be this like great thing. I don't know, it's weird. It's really bad. But yeah, so apparently he compares himself. Well, he says he's inspired, but he also did draw comparisons to Tolkien and Peter Jackson. So yeah, some people really can't read the room / are fucking tone deaf as fuck, but whatever. Good news though, PlayStation Plus games don't suck for once this month. I'm actually really excited because there was a very long stretch where where the free PlayStation games were ass. Even though I don't play my PlayStation anymore, I always look it up every month because one, there's always articles about it, but then two, if it's a good game, I'm gonna fucking snag it. It doesn't matter if I don't plan on playing it or whatever. It's fun. When it's free, I usually will grab it, right? But I'm pretty excited. So, well, the first one's really not that impressive. So lately, ever since the PS5 came out, PS Plus always has one that's compatible with both, and then usually two that's PS4 only. At one point, because it's now replacing PS3 because they don't do free PS3 games anymore, so it's just two PS4 and one that's playable on PS4 and PS5. And Battlefield 2042, I don't really give a fuck. Battlefield has so many microtransactions, it's become such a shitty series. They're in slightly tangential news. I will mention the only thing that has me slightly interested in an upcoming. It's only going to be the thing I hate is not even a full game. It's just a campaign, either in 2042 or whatever the latest Battlefield is, where it's actually going to be co-developed, co-produced, whatever, with DICE Studios, who did do the good Battlefield games.
Yeah.
So I'm like excited in that aspect because Bad Company was incredible and like I did love Battlefield 2 and stuff like that. But it's not a full ass game. They're just gonna help make a campaign stuff.
A campaign, yeah.
So it's just like, so y'all are basically just teasing me. That's like, thanks. But anyways, so that's the first one. But the second one that's gonna be available for PS4 users is gonna be Minecraft Dungeons. Now, if you haven't checked out Minecraft Dungeons, I love Dungeons. I want Dungeon Rings right now. But it's basically Minecraft Diablo, so good stuff. Now, the game, when it did first come out, did have a big lack of content, unfortunately, but there has been some added through. And I would say even the base content, if you're not paying fuck all for it, is still worth playing for. So if you do have some friends and you want a Diablo-like experience, and you like the aesthetic of Minecraft, I think you will have a good time, especially for $0 playing Minecraft Dungeons. The other thing, of course, that I'm excited, I played it already, but I think more people should, and this is now this is going to kill the excuse for anyone that's giving me a bullshit reason why they can't play it. Code Vein is the other free game for PlayStation Plus. If you haven't played Code Vein, or you don't know what it is, it's basically anime Dark Souls. They have a lot of really good character creator shit and customization. It's pretty incredible. So, for free, that to me makes the entire pass worth owning for this month, would be to get that. So, for March, this is the upcoming one. The other one's already out, obviously, because they come out at the beginning of the month. But definitely, if you're even on the fence about it, maybe you're not the biggest Minecraft person, I would still snag it, because I would say that even if you needed to renew your PlayStation Plus just for 1 month to get these games, you should definitely at least get Code Vein. Have you played it?
I've owned it.
Okay, you've owned it for all. Yeah, played it. I'm really curious what you would think about it, especially because you really like From the Top game so much. In case I just see it and like comparison to it. Not to mention, I'm curious what you think about the character customization, because you can make some crazy shit.
So I've played the first like 2 hours of Code Vein.
Okay.
And so from what I've seen so far, yeah, the character customization is pretty fun. Combat, I just didn't get used to it. It's a little weird, but yeah.
Having an AI partner that's actually like pretty useful, which in that game, your AI partner is actually pretty useful, so that's nice to see.
I wish the game played better.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those where I want to really love it.
Yeah.
There are things to like about it. However, yeah, the game does not play very well.
Right. And then the problem too is like it's hard not to compare games like that to Souls, unfortunately, even if it wants to be an independent thing. That's the issue, is when you start to encroach into the territory. At least with Surge 1 kind of fell to that problem where like Surge 1 wasn't that good, unfortunately. It was, again, just known as a fucking Souls-like. But Surge 2 was really good. Like, I think that one, they just smoothed out a lot of the stuff, like mechanically, visually, everything in Surge 2 looks way better than the first one. So I would say sometimes you could probably just skip the first one and just go straight to that. Nintendo confirmed that they won't be attending E3 2023 at all. I mean, at this point, E3 is shit. However, it's very interesting. I had a thought when I was looking at that announcement. And it's not the first time Nintendo skipped it, and they did say it's not like they're out of E3 forever. They're just not going to do it this year because they're just going to do their typical typical directs. But that's the thing, right? When we were younger, E3 was like the dream to go to.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the only gaming reveal conventions and stuff like that. And it was this like magical, fanciful thing we always just dreamed about doing.
4 packs. Before
Yeah, exactly.
all the other bullshit.
But not just did it become like so passé to even care to go there, and not just have like people just reported how shitty it's gotten every year, and like among other issues that they've had at E3 before, then becoming press only, then not, then press only again, and the big thing is a lot of the publishers and a lot of the main console brands, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, they hold the punches now at E3. They don't even show their best stuff over there because they want to use it for their own big reveals. In fact, Tokyo Game Show they even hold in higher regard because they usually reveal cooler stuff at Tokyo Game Show than they do at E3 now, because most of the stuff is just announced fucking through a YouTube video. Or a live stream if you watch Nintendo Directs live, because they are originally aired live typically. So that's the thing. Obviously, during that same weekend, if it's anything like the other time that Nintendo skipped the major press conference, they're just going to do Direct at the same time, basically. It basically takes up the time slot that they would have done there. It's just cheaper than flying out Bowser and everybody else to fucking bother talking to anybody. Bowser doesn't really talk, because he's not Reggie Fils-Aimé, but still, it's like one of those things where they just don't see the point in it anymore. I totally agree. There really isn't. It's the whole joke between could the meeting have just been a 5-minute email? That's kind of how Nintendo sees it. They were just like, rather than spend all the money for the fanfare and hoping that people come to our booths, we can just tell everybody about it. And the good thing about Nintendo Directs is I always do like when you're just like, and this game's out now, and then it's like, you can straight up just buy it now. Rip wallet, but you can. So that's, I'm really curious to see what they're going to do then, because they do usually have some cool announcements there. I mean, there's some Rainbow Six Siege news, but I really don't give a fuck. That game had so much potential, it just sucks ass now. I still love the Rainbow Six series so much, especially Vegas. That was probably the peak, in my opinion, of how good that series was. But Rainbow Six was a good series for the longest time, but then it shits the bed after a while.
I don't know if I talked about this before on the podcast, but like in the sense of games, those types of games where they have legends or heroes or stuff like that.
That's the thing they're trying to do.
At some point, when you start adding too much that contradict each other, it makes it like, well, I don't want to play anymore. Like, for example, one of my favorite characters that I love to use in Rainbow was Mira, until they made it so that you can break her bulletproof shield or mirror with your elbow.
Yeah, that's just really weird. And then they have Lara Croft and Sam Fisher as operators also.
Oh, they have Majima now too.
Wait, ain't no way.
I'm not shitting you. They got Majima. They have Majima. They have 2B in there from Nier.
So they did what fucking Tekken failed to do, which is give me Majima in a fucking night. God damn it! How could they? That's actually kind of weird though. That's funny.
Like literally, like look it up and you'll see. It's not great.
Yeah, 2B. Even though I didn't remember about it right now, I remember 2B we did talk about in the podcast episode in the past, so I knew 2B was added. Yeah. But it's just so fucking weird. What kind of Rainbow Six game is that? Like, it's cool that you have a game where Majima and 2B are in, but at the same time, it's also like, why? The fuck would they be Rainbow Six with these cis-white, boring-ass characters? Like, what the fuck? And finally, this isn't news in the sense that it's definitely not going to surprise us, but it was very sad to discover. Recently, Overwatch 2 game director Aaron Keller mentioned that looking at statistics, this part isn't necessary. So I'll tie it into a question that I'm going to use to wrap the episode anyways. So I'm very curious what y'all have to say on that. But he mentioned that no one in the game, and to be fair, they're not helping either, because a lot of their shit, they care more about pushing the microtransactions and skins than gameplay. So that's also partly their fault, because there are a lot of improvements they could make on that game, but they're just so busy trying to squeeze dollars out. So, also on them. But they did mention that looking at the amount that people are playing certain characters, nobody even, especially, they said even in competitive, at least in silver up to lower ranking gold, most people just play who they want to. Nobody even follows the actual meta or looks at any of the actual balancing. people just play their favorite characters. So that's interesting to see, but also a little sad that like nobody's even taking this game seriously, even in the competitive mode. Like, yeah, you know, your tryhards and your silvers and gold anyways, you know, it's not really like, and so you get into the platinum and above, then you start to get people, even the people in platinum are such pieces of shit. I remember when I played plat, it was like, not like the people were much better there anyways, but it's one of those things where it is a little sad to hear that people aren't concerned about being competitive, because that's what that game kind of was about, and then at the same time, it's kind of what made the game interesting, because you felt satisfied when your team could pull off a victory, because it meant that y'all strategize better. But now knowing that sometimes I'm winning these games because the other team just chose a shitty comp because they're just trying to have fun. Having fun in a video game? Have they lost their fucking mind? It's about fucking winning. So anyways, no. But it is one of those things where it's a little interesting to hear that in this competitive-based game, no one cares about being competitive anymore. Now, what I was going to tie into that is, you all probably play more competitive games than I do, whether it be fighting games or like whatever. What do you believe about, like, what's your opinion on, like, should you always, like, take games, like, seriously? Or is it okay, like, because Wooly, I can't, of course, I wanted to use this example, but I couldn't remember what game it was. But there's a fighting game that Wooly really liked, but he said that the character he uses in meta is trash. But he just really liked that character, so he wanted to get good at it and purposely uses the character even though he knows they're objectively bad.
Which game it was?
That's his problem. He plays too many games, unfortunately. And that was that quote was from like ages ago, so I don't remember. But he didn't mention that. And it's kind of interesting to think that there are a lot of characters. There are a lot of video games where people like a character, but then won't even bother playing them because it's like, well, I mean, I gotta play so-and-so, you know, you're fucking like, I remember at one point, Joe and I had talked about Street Fighter, and like, basically the viable pool of characters isn't even really too huge. It's kind of like considering how many characters are in the game, there's like a certain pool that if you look at top players or like who tends to get more wins or rank higher, it tends to just be a literal handful of people. So, I don't know, it's weird. So in a competitive game like Overwatch, I have such mixed feelings about it. Because it is nice to see that, you know, like Mercy isn't really that meta anymore, especially when it comes to support. It's all about Kitiko and Moira now, especially if Moira, that's a very charged opinion because you have different types of Moira players. Because the long running joke is if you're playing Moira as a strict DPS, fuck right off because you're wasting a fucking support slot. But at the same time, I have seen people who are kind of good at balancing both. So it's like, I don't know. But I did think that for the longest time, I always thought that people should stick to the meta so that way they can, you know, get the game. But I just realized sometimes, yeah, in competitive gaming, you can kind of lose the fun of it depending on how seriously you take it or like how, and I understand some people make a career out of it. But if you're just some Cheeto-eating try-hard bastard in their basement, maybe you should have a little bit more fun trying to play a video game as opposed to just like, you know, if you're not going to fucking really, I know it takes practice to get like super good, obviously, at games and stuff like that, but I guess at some point, you also should still be having fun. And I think if you're not, if you're too focused on getting good at a game that you're not even enjoying it anymore, I think there is such thing as like a little too much at trying to be good at a game. Like I think you have to you can start to lose why you got into it in the first place. My example, which is what I was going to get into, because eventually I was going to lead into y'all saying if that's ever happened to you where you lost the magic of a game or a game stopped being fun to you because you wanted to get good at it, but then you that kind of killed it for you. And for me, it's Pokemon. When the whole EV-IV bullshit, I wish that was never explained to me or ever taught to me because that shit started ruining Pokemon for me. Yeah. Because I know that my fucking loser-ass friend has nothing better to do and is just gonna fucking get a billion eggs and berries is just gonna always beat my bullshit team. Whereas when I was younger, I was just get the Pokemon to 100. That's all I was worried about. Like, I don't give a fuck about natures, berries, and all this bullshit. And that's kind of what took me out of it.
You encounter the elitist person that like won't shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's
how you play.
And that's what really started killing me for it. Yeah. Because I'm going to leave them unnamed because we might know who they are. But there were people who just started getting mad at me. They were just like, why do you have the Venusaur of that nature? I'm like, because I don't give a fuck. That's why the Venusaur is that nature. Like, Like, fucking shut the fuck up. Like, I know you're super into, this fucking meta bullshit, but leave me alone. But anyways, have you ever, either of y'all, gotten into a game, but then a little too much where you kind of just burned out on it? Trying to get good at it, I guess? Not necessarily trying to get good at it, but like, it's just got to the point where it's just so like, oh god, I'm kind of over this.
I think I have like two versions of the instances where me trying to get good at the game ruined it, and then people who are really good at the game ruined it for me.
Okay, go, yeah.
So, perfect example is Yu-Gi-Oh! Like 100% when I first started getting back into it when Master Duel first came out, I felt really shitty about playing it because I kept losing every single match. Of course, because I didn't know any better. I didn't want to read. I didn't know how decks worked. Nowadays, and I was acting like back in my day, you build to Exodia, you win.
Yeah. You had to get a little nostalgic on people.
So I kind of fell off of it, and it wasn't until I just decided, well, let me look into a deck that's just fun. That's at least fun for me, and that's when I looked into pendulums, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I like this mechanic. So then that's when my friends started teaching me how to kind of play that deck, and as soon as I started to actually learn how to play the deck, I was like, okay, you know what? I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Now. This is actually fun. Yeah. And that's why I don't build meta, because I don't want to ruin the game for myself by building meta, getting try hard, and my only goal is to win. Yeah. For me, is to have fun, not to win.
I'm glad. And that reminds me of how I had a lot of fun with the game and then all of a sudden didn't. Another one, Legends of Runeterra. I got super into that game. I got really invested in it in both a monetary sense and also time sense. But then, and I understand card games have to do this because if you kept the same meta forever, it would get really boring. But it sucked having a top tier deck. I don't even remember that because I installed that game a long time ago. But I forgot what it was called. But I had like a really, and it felt so good to win because I'm not usually good at TCGs just because I either, again, couldn't be fucked to read, so I never got good at Magic. But at the same time, it's one of those things where other times it's just learning the mechanics can get very intimidating, so I just wouldn't get into them. But with Legends of Runeterra, I originally got into it because Pat wouldn't shut the fuck up about it, but then like I kind of really started to like it. Then I started building this meta deck that was like fun in my playstyle, and I was kind of like, oh, I like these little trickeries, these little traps that I would set up to try to bait people into attacking the wrong card that would eventually get stronger because this other one was supporting. It's like, oh, I'm starting to, this almost sounds like some fucking like TCG shit. Yeah. Then they flipped the script so much that I went from being meta to not even being like less good. It just went to being unusable. And I said, fuck this. I spent so much time and some money building this deck, and now it's just shit. And I understand that happens, I'm sure, in every card game. Yeah. But it is one of those things where that's when I realized card games aren't for me, is because I know that isn't a part of the nature of it. Yeah. Is unfortunately you can't be on top forever because your thing's not going to be meta forever. Yeah. And it would get boring, so I get why they do that, but yeah.
Yeah, there's that, and then for people being really good at the game, ruining it for me, two of them. Funny, another TCG, Hearthstone.
Oh, yeah.
And it got to a point where I was just like, I don't want to play this anymore.
I really wanted to get into that, but yeah, there are people that are a little...
And For Honor.
Oh, God. Yeah, oh my God. I totally forgot how... Oh, shit, I clipped the mic so bad. Well, almost. I have the condenser on, but
For
still.
Honor just, like...
Yes.
I love the new characters they were releasing. I was like, this is awesome. I want to try these new characters. No, as soon as I try a character I don't know how to play, I absolutely get murdered. And I'm just like, okay, well, I don't want to.
It sucks, yeah, because I remember For Honor is such was such a fun game, and I really enjoyed it until that started happening. You almost felt discouraged because you're like you wanted to try something different, but then like I don't know, it always just felt like you were just complete dog shit whenever you would try a new class that would come out. But I always thought the idea of For Honor was really cool because the whole reliance on parrying, the fact that you're going from like Vikings to samurai to like all these like combat. It reminded me of Deadliest Warrior in a way, but not the shitty Deadliest Warrior video game, like a good video game based on like the concept of these different eras and times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a game. Rest in peace. Even though it's still alive, rest in peace.
Should be dead.
Should be dead. But what about you, Joe? Do you have any moments in games where like you kind of enjoyed it, but either I know you tend to do you tend to understand / get into kind of like when you get into something, it doesn't seem like it bothers you too much to like learn or like kind of like take your time to get good at it. So this may not apply to you because I'm not sure. Because me, I'm such an instant gratification person. I hate it sometimes. It's the whole reason where in the beginning, it wasn't until I revisited playing instruments later that I finally got into it. Because in the beginning, I just hated the fact that I couldn't play what the rock stars play.
Yeah.
I'd be like, playing, well, that sucked. And then I would just give up on guitar forever, you know what I'm saying? But eventually I came back to it and ended up learning a style I could get good at. But anyways, but yeah, with you, is there anything like that? Or you were just kind of like, wow, this game seems interesting. And then you kind of learned more about it. And it was like, oh, God.
Fuck trying to IV breed and EV train Pokemon.
Yeah.
I did that shit in Diamond and Pearl. I don't think I ever want to do it again.
Yeah, it's very draining. It's very cumbersome. Because there's a lot that you have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, when it's going back, the Yu-Gi-Oh community is pretty fucking toxic.
Is not greatest for beginners?
No, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh, like, that's the thing that kind of sucks is that, so, like, Yu-Gi-Oh, like, Tekken players, man.
Okay, yeah, let's go. This is the conversation I wanted. This is why this is our wrap-up point.
Like, Tekken, like, yeah, you want to learn Tekken, good fucking luck.
Either you knew it already or you didn't, idiot.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that. Like, and then Yu-Gi-Oh! It gets so fucking toxic, and I think I once talked to you about it before.
When you told me some of the drama, I couldn't believe it was drama related to Yu-Gi-Oh!
It makes no fucking sense, because, like, some people take the game so fucking seriously, and, like, you can't even really, like, you go to YCS and you win, you're not coming home with a cash prize, motherfucker. Like,
they act like they're fucking pro.
Yeah. Like,
if you would have not played that card, I would have won. That's why I played it.
Yeah.
and it's just so fucking dumb, and like, it's incredibly daunting to try to learn Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, you know, you can play a casual deck. If you really want to get into it, you probably should learn something meta.
Right.
A strong deck. At least have one
A strong deck
that you can play, that you can climb ladder, or, you know, do.
Or else you're just gonna go nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why when Dink was learning, you know, I was, because he started with Monarchs because that was one of the story decks. But I told him, I was like, well, you should learn True Draco, because that was the next logical step. True Draco was a powerful deck. You know, I don't think it's up there anymore, but when I was picking up the TCG, they were still in the meta. And in Master Duel, they were strong. And you don't need an extra deck for True Draco. You just have your 40 cards and you're Gucci. And it gives you a pretty good basis of the fundamentals, because you do have traps, you do have continuous traps, continuous spells. You are playing with chains. So, you know, it was good. It was also very good at teaching you the difference between special summoning and tribute summoning and stuff like that. So that was a deck that he was able to pick up, and, you know, he was getting good at and stuff like that. But, you know,
honestly, definitely having somebody who's already experienced.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Imagine that, because you were fucking helpful. Someone can learn something.
Somebody that doesn't know that, though.
So, for me, it's like returning the favor from my older brother, because you know, he introduced me when it was, you know, very old Duel Monsters,
or very new.
And so at that time, and now it's reversed. Now I'm helping him learn.
Yeah, I'm sure
one of the decks he built in Master Duel was DDDs, and I was like, all right, buddy, let's move you away from that for now. This is the big boy pants right here. You're not ready for that yet. So let's go ahead and build you Crusadias.
You gotta go through some trials and tribulations.
So I built him a Crusadias deck, and he's been enjoying that, and like actually now starting to learn, like, okay, now like, he's learning how to manage different combos depending on your starting hand. And I feel like at that point, you know, if you have someone who is willing to teach you and willing to kind of walk you through that, you will enjoy that game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When you first got in, when Master Duel had first dropped, and y'all were playing it, and especially at fucking work, there were several people playing it. And
I still remember.
And I was like, I mean, you know, the FOMO was kicking in, and I really wanted to, right? And I even downloaded the game on my phone, because remember I showed you what it looked like on the full, right? Then my Legends of Runeterra PTSD kicked in, and I said, "Oh god, oh no, I'm gonna learn something. I'm gonna fucking like this, and then I'm gonna fucking all of a sudden I'm gonna be the bottom. I'm gonna be a bottom again, and it's just not gonna be fun."
You should have just asked me to teach you sound great.
No.
I mean, it doesn't do anything now.
When y'all showed me the artwork though of those Goblin Pirates or whatever the fuck,
Oh yeah.
gotta say,
Plunder Patrol is pretty fun to play
yeah,
too.
kind of
I would
type.
like to learn Plunder Patrol, but I don't have $100 for a Baron de Fleur.
Same. I did feel that.
Damn.
Yeah, I just need $100.
That's why I bought the Maze of Memories booster pack that's coming out right now. So hopefully I'm getting.
Yeah,
I can pull a Baron.
Because the Plunder Patrol core is dirt cheap when I check
Oh,
out
yeah.
TCG.
But then the staple cards.
Yeah,
really
the staple
neat.
extra deck cards that are just.
it's those that are. Yeah.
The
No,
pillars.
I will say, this is one thing I like about Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
People complain that it's way too fucking expensive, which it is, and it can be.
Mm-hmm.
However, like, you know, if you got into, I don't know how much Ash Blossom is, because guess what? I don't fucking need to know how much Ash Blossom is.
Right.
I've got like 2 or 3 play sets. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, but, you know, at the time, when I was learning Yu-Gi-Oh! Ash Blossom was like $40 to $80 maybe for a copy. But you get 3 copies, you're using that card in almost every fucking
So
deck.
it's kind of worth if you're gonna get
Right,
series.
the mileage you get.
It's an investment.
Yes,
Yeah, it's an investment for the different cards that you get. Because it's the same thing for Master Duel as well. Because, I mean, obviously you can get pretty expensive there as well. And depending on what kind of staple cards you end up getting, then you'll be using it in almost every deck that you're
it's
playing.
you know, like, oh man, it's gonna be a pain in the ass for me to get an access code talker, but guess what? Now I can fucking use it in almost any deck I need a link for in. Like,
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I do like about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is even though you do have to put in a lot of money to get these expensive cards,
You can be smart about it.
yeah, like these
There's a
cards
way you
can
can
be
do it.
used. Yeah, exactly. You know, like, oh man, I gotta spend so much money for Pot of Prosperity. It's like, okay, yeah, that sucks, but how many decks can you use Pot of Prosperities in? Maybe not all of them, but
in a lot, a
chunk.
good amount.
A decent amount that you want to make.
A decent amount, yeah. So, you know, you don't gotta fucking worry about no set rotation. You just gotta pray Konami don't ban your card.
Yeah. That's the other thing that's gotta be so
That's the
scary
only
is
thing.
like,
That's the only thing that scares the shit out of me. It's just like eventually, like especially for Master Duel, I am hoping and praying to God, but they probably will. I hope they don't ban Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, even though they probably will.
Well, shit. There was a time I was buying a lot of copies of Called by the Grave.
No.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh man, I've got like 4 or 5 places. Oh, Konami brought it down to 1.
1.
Cool.
it's like, thanks.
I can now make like, I guess 12 decks that need 1 called by.
Yeah.
So,
now, I know this would be, y'all were talking about doing it smartly, but I'm just curious just because on the opposite spectrum, are there websites that just sell decks, like decks that are built already to meta, like you could just buy them like that? I'm sure they'd be expensive as fuck, but like...
Yeah, you could probably go to eBay and look for Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitive Legend of Blue Eyes deck and waste money.
It's kind of like the thing where like you never want to search online. I want to buy a gamer desk or a gamer chair.
Right.
They're just gonna upsell the little shit out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's just like you know, hey, I did the work for you. Fuck you, pay me more.
Yeah, that is. It is one of those things where you do have to do the fucking research. Because you don't want to be that fucking loser that just wasted a bunch of money buying a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck that some motherfucker on the internet told you was...
Samurai.
I'm not naming names. It could be some asshole on eBay or whatever saying that this is a tournament-ready deck and, you know, you're going to go and you're going to win some games with these Blue Eyes. And then you buy the game. Yeah, and then you go, and then you're like, hey, why the fuck are my zones being locked? Why is everything being banished face down? What the fuck is a cash to raw?
I guess, because that's kind of...
Nibiru?
Yeah, no, but like, no, but I guess, okay, so that's kind of not really... But like, okay, so, what deck are you playing?
I'm Pendulum Magician. editions.
So, but like, is there like on one of the TCG sites, like not eBay or any of that bullshit, where you just be like, I'm willing to spend $2,000 today if I need to. Can I just buy the cards you need to make that deck? Like, will someone just sell
you
it
could buy
right then and there?
singles.
So you could probably have to go that route.
Yeah, so it would be one of those things where you're going to do your research. You're
And
going to
then
see
see
what
what you need,
what
and then
cards
just buy
do I
all the
want.
card.
That's just the
Yes.
thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! There's so much different decks that you can build.
Because there's still variations of that deck.
So I really doubt anybody would take the time to sell a.
Because the collecting for them, they would either have to upsell the shit out of it to make it worth the time that they just took to make it.
It could be.
Or-
And then, of course,
or-
shipping.
Yeah, and all that stuff.
You know, and then of course, you know, ooh, do you want your deck to be max bling bling or not?
Mhm.
So, and I'm not gonna lie, if you can max rarity your deck, it's pretty nice.
That'd be cool.
It's kind of
The problem is
satisfying.
price.
Insane as hell.
Mm-hmm. I was so fucking happy when they made the super rare Jack Jaguar.
That's pretty nice.
Oh yeah. So that made me like really happy.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that. I mean, like, that's the thing. So basically, the moral of the lesson is people can either make a game you like good or bad, because it just depends on how the person is. And then B, at the end of the day, I think it's just important that you have fun.
Just
whatever
have
you're
fun.
playing. If competitive games are fun to you, because that's a thing, that's good. That's good. And then for people like me, who is just like one of those things where it hurts way too much to put a lot of time into learning something and then just have it where you have to learn something else.
Mm-hmm.
And for those, you can play a single player game without other fucking people and just mind your own business. But as long as you're having fun with what you're doing, that's the important part.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just something that's just really lost nowadays, where it's all about like impressions or the FOMO of something or like whatever, where you always feel like you have to play a certain game or see a certain thing or whatever. Like, I'm sure there are groups of people out there who like feel like they have to see every Marvel thing, even if I could give a fuck less. There's probably people out there where since their whole group of friends is like super into that, they feel like, oh, I have to fucking watch these fucking boring ass shows to get caught up because we all discuss it or whatever. But if you're enjoying it, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And if you're not, it's something that's not necessarily a bad thing not to enjoy something, because not everything is for everybody. And it's about finding what is for you, and I think that's like the thing that's really good. Like, I love Yakuza, and I love that series, and even though I do feel like it has a better reach than I think a lot of people give it credit for because it is such an odd game, I feel like maybe it isn't for everybody, and it is one of those things where it may not be everybody's cup of tea. So it's just one of those things. Although, not too many people I know have tried it and actually said they dislike it. A lot of people I know that actually take the chance to play Yakuza games seem to enjoy it, so I'm glad.
Yeah.
But hey, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But as long as you're having fun, that's the old moral of the story. So channel plugs. Oh, first of all, if you do want to put in your 2 cents, or if you want to talk to us about how correct you are about everything on Earth and never wrong, you can email us at disconnectdick. Don't email us at dick. No, you can email us at disconnectedcastmail@gmail.com. And if you're looking for everybody on the website just to troll them or dox them or swat them, you can find me at ZD Rocker in all the places. You can also find Twitch, Tay-Dart Radio, if you're going to listen to K-pop, even though I haven't streamed in a hot minute. All the other stuff at disconnectedcast.com. Tony, where can all the peeps find you?
Okay, you guys can all find me at Leishinto. That'll be capital LEIHSHINTO. That'll be YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much everywhere. Hopefully we'll be able to start getting back into hopefully streaming. I have a couple of ideas that I want to do to start streaming.
That's good.
So hopefully I can get that rolling sometime soon.
Okay, exciting. And Joe, what about you? Let's wrap it up. Bring it home.
I'm kind of job searching, so I kind of locked my social media accounts that I'm active in. So
There you go.
Don't worry about it.
So don't look for Joe.
Don't look for me.
But you can find us, and then we will see you all hopefully next week. We missed 1 week, but funny enough, it wasn't due to Tony's availability. It was actually because on the day of the recording, I totally forgot. Because fucking work, and that's what fucking work does. It fries your brain, drains you of all your energy, and
The adult life.
The adult life, yeah. But it is nice though when we can have these outlets to try to talk about stuff. Even that's the thing. It's weekly therapy really at this point. Who needs better help? we got this fucking podcast. So other than that, unless BetterHelp, if you want to sponsor us though, I'm just saying Raycon, BetterHelp, Audible, fucking whatever. Even though Tony already talked on a previous thing about how Raycon sucks, but if you want to tell us and pay us to tell you how good Raycon is, that's also good. Raid Shadow Legends, hit us up, let us retire. And other than that, we will see you all on the next episode. Hopefully, this one will be on a Monday, and then hopefully the next one will be on the Monday following. We'll all look at our schedules and get that sorted, even if not sooner rather than later.